Welcome to another episode of the Fantasy Rabbit Hole Podcast. I am your host, CSD Fantasy. Hello, Fantasy Faithfuls, and welcome to another episode of the Fantasy Rabbit Hole Podcast. My name is CSD Fantasy, and I'm flanked by the one and only Nick Faber and the Coin Master, Matt Williams. How are y'all doing?
I'm great. I'll start out before Matt does. Matt might jump in. I know he is with his Matt, but we're doing great. I mean, it's an odd time in life right now. Quarantined for the last week. Michigan just had a stay home, stay safe lockdown put in place. But other than that, just watching a lot of reruns of sports and a lot of new movies. Basically, right now, that's what's containing my life.
I'm doing okay.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Better than men.
The key to keeping your hands healthy when you're washing them too many times is to moisturize.
I don't know.
It's a tip. Apparently, I read that today. Apparently, people are having issues with that.
Don't you have one of those? We had at work one of those like dispensers that give you the alcohol thing, but with like a little bit of moisturizer in it. Have you seen those? It's like a dispenser, so it gives you some sort of alcoholic foam, so your hands be real soft and really alcohol-y at the same time.
really alcohol-y.
Liquor.
Yeah, that's a new word.
Matt, don't be trying to say you're good, though, after we see your Mets hat and we see the news that broke out after there even is no baseball. Somehow, Thor goes getting to Tommy. What I don't know what he injured, but he's getting a Tommy John surgery, and he's out until next year. So don't even try to lie to us that you're good. I know you're not right now.
I was good until you brought it up.
Well,
and then
brought up, right?
And then you see Freddie Freeman out in his backyard just dominating his little son.
Good, get him out. Oh wait, what?
Did you see that? Like Freddie's out looking good, having a good time with his kid. His kid throws the ball. Freddie's like, yeah. He hit the freaking out the yard, and the kid just looked at him like, "You gonna do me like that? You gonna do me like that?"
Braves winning the NL East this year. That's for sure.
Oh, if there's ever an NL East.
Well, in 2021, I mean.
Yeah, freak. I was so hyped. Like I had my Braves shirt on. I was ready to rock and roll. It was, and then just everything. Well, you shouldn't complain about sports being canceled, I guess, in times like this. But we can on this show.
That's right.
And it's going to be a great show today. I already see a bunch of people joining in. So just hit us up in the chat on Periscope and on YouTube. We're here to serve. Before we get into today's show, I would like to remind you to hit that like button. Please share on social media. Hit that retweet if you're on Periscope. Help us get the word out there. It really means a lot to us. Subscribe if you haven't done so, and check out csdfantasy.com for even more fantasy content. You can also check us out on Apple Podcast, Anchor, and Spotify. But now to the news.
The news.
Stuck
it in there.
And we actually have a lot of news content this time around. We're eventually going to be talking more about franchise tag players and players that re-signed. But out now is the draft event extravaganza, whatever you want to call it, is canceled. And they're looking into doing something virtual with the players. I'm actually okay with it being canceled. I think it takes so long to watch, especially the first round, second, third, and after that, that's my favorite part where he just goes. Until the Cowboys draft in the first round, I'm like, okay, we kind of know by now, unless there's something crazy going on. But Matt, how do you feel about doing something virtual for the draft?
I don't really care. The only thing I heard was Adam Schefter said they should make it like 7 days in a row. That was the worst. Although I again, a Packers fan, so you sit around night one where it takes forever. And we're picking at the very end, like usual. But then you wait and you wait and you wait, and then they trade the pick. And then I stayed up until midnight for no freaking reason. So I don't know. They should delay it because obviously there's a lot. Someone joked this isn't a fantasy draft, which screw you. Fantasy is awesome. But Yeah, there's a lot that goes into this. People haven't been able to do the interviews and the in-person stuff, and they need to delay this crap.
Yeah, I think so too, because there's a lot of stuff that just goes into the pre-work or whatever you want to call it ahead of drafting somebody, and now you kind of left throwing darts in a way for the teams out there.
And it's so important compared to any other sport, I mean, this is how you get, this is how crappy teams become good teams, like, the Lions.
Whoa, let's calm down over there, boys. All right. The last time we had something like this, we had a lockout, and the Lions started out 5-0 that year. And got defensive plays on Stafford and Calvin Johnson. They broke out for like 9 touchdowns in the first 5 games. It was outstanding. We were winning every game.
If they just went on without there being any kind of medical, like in-person stuff, does this hurt or help Tua?
So I just talked about this. So I recorded a podcast before this, and actually we had brought up the Adam Schefter 7-day, 7-round draft as well, which I'll get into real quick. But to answer your question at hand, I think it hurts him. I think, and I said this probably pretty horribly in my podcast, and I don't want to try to repeat that, but the biggest person to like fault from the COVID-19 in the NFL draft wise is Tua. He is not like, he was a sure thing. If he would have been able to go out there on his pro day and ball out and be able to put up these random, shorts and t-shirt videos of him out there just throwing, he was going to get the second draft pick easily. The Redskins would have traded out of that number 2 pick. And I've been calling it forever. And that was what's going to happen. But now I can't guarantee that anymore because he doesn't have that availability. He luckily gave us the first quarantine video. He was out there. He's like practicing at home, throwing the ball. And that got all Detroit up in an uproar, and got Washington, same thing. I think Tua hurts the most from this because his draft stock is going to stick at 3, 5, 6. Like, I don't know where Tua is going to be drafted right now, and he's going to lose millions just because of this virus that has disrupted him going and showing his talents and showing that he was the number 1 pick last year. He was the number 1 pick until this year. And had he been playing, had Joe Burrow played Alabama while Tua was playing, he may still be the number 1 pick. This may have him not playing, Matt Jones leading the Alabama team, thus Burrow getting the win, may have slingshotted Burrow into that championship realm, into that number 1 realm pick, because Tua wasn't playing. So if Tua had stayed healthy, who knows where Burrow would be? Who knows where Tua would be? Tua would probably be the number 1 pick.
I think even if Burrow goes on this run, I believe that if Tua doesn't have the health concern, he would have been the number 1 pick.
Yep.
Even if Burrow goes on the run. I think
there's a ton of teams that would like to take him number 1 still.
Yeah. It's probably 50-50.
I don't know if this hurts or helps him, though, to be honest, because you're working under the assumption that he went out and kicked ass during his pro day. Maybe he couldn't do it, and that would have hurt him. Like you said, he's falling to 5 or 6. Oh, too bad. He's only an incredible millionaire stuff. I'm just saying it's not the worst case scenario. If he went out and he didn't wow people, I don't know.
It's not the worst case scenario, but even if he didn't go out and wow people, it'd still be where he's at right now. He wouldn't have fallen later than the 6th pick in the draft, but he would have assured himself the 2nd pick or the 1st pick had he not got injured, had he been able to have a pro day, anything like this. But now because of this, he may be the worst case scenario, which is 5th pick or 6th pick. There's no way Tua would have went out on that pro day and not just had Twitter lighten up, dude.
He did go through all the medicals at the combine, which I think if that turned out to be good enough for certain teams that are high enough, he's going to get drafted very high. Talent has a way to get drafted highly. Look at Jalen Smith. There were talks that he would never play football again. The guy was like, 2nd round? Yeah, freak it. Go with him.
Well, let's call it a worst case scenario. Let's say that, I mean, who does this help anyone in particular? Or if Miami or San Diego weren't going to trade up to 2, does that mean they're just not willing to meet the price that they were going to pay for 2? Are they still interested, but they're now going to try to pay up at the 4? Are they still going to try to move up, or does this open them up to a different team we weren't thinking of? Or do you think it's the same teams, just maybe not, they're just not willing to pay as much? Because I kind of think what you were just saying, if you were on him after the medicals, you're probably on him no matter what, right?
I just think that the asking price for 2 is so steep that teams would have done it given the media hype, given that draft stock hype that we've seen year in and year out. But without it this year, I think it kind of hurts. I think it hurts the Lions the most of all, because now teams might not be willing to pay that price for 2, and in fact pay a lesser price for 3, or just wait to see what happens if he comes to 5 or 6. Where had he been able to get this pro day, I think that he would have been the second pick no matter what, which would result in those teams going to Washington. There's some question happening right in front of me. I don't know
if Tua makes it to 4. Yeah. Does LA allow Miami to get him at 5? Because that's the thing. All of a sudden, if the Lions don't have a deal, the Giants all of a sudden have themselves a ton of leverage if LA wants to go that direction, right?
I think that gives the Giants. I think this hole in case gives what you're saying the best probability is that all of a sudden he falls to 4, and now it's the Chargers who have to pay this steep price, and it gives the Giants all the money, all the chips. They can take everything they want for it, and that's a bummer for Detroit, because we're gonna end up taking Okudah with the 3rd pick, and that's gonna be a bitch.
Because that's kind of it, right? I mean, it's at that point, if he starts to fall, there ain't no one, and there's no one else that could really get involved, right?
You can most teams that need a quarterback are high up, but there's still quarterbacks out there though. Like if we just assume that somebody who picks like Tua, they might want to redshirt him for a year. Let's just assume that for a second. We got Cam Newton is now released. And like, what potential landing spots does he have? And does he, because I don't think he impacts where Tua lands. I think Cam still has, I don't think he has tons of fantasy potential, but I do think that the team that gets him is going to improve. Like if we take the Chargers, for instance, we talked about Tyrod Taylor. I think that's a great landing spot for Cam, and that will help someone like Hunter Henry score more fantasy points than with Tyrod Taylor. We got Jameis still out there too.
Anybody's going to improve Hunter Henry's stats over Tyrod Taylor. That's for damn sure.
Not Cam from last year.
Yeah,
but is it going to be Cam from last year?
It could be. I mean, if he's not, then he was. Listen, they released him because no one would trade for him.
But that's also the way they played it.
No, I know, but hey, he still doesn't have a job. He still doesn't have a job. If people were excited, he would have had one. You know, I mean, Todd Gurley had a job pretty quick, so which we'll obviously get to. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think anyone likes what they see with Cam. I'm not too excited about it.
Is it going to be a Des Bryant situation where it's like, yeah, you're done?
Not in the quarterback in the realm. I think teams will definitely pay up to get him. It's not going to be like a Colin Kaepernick type thing. It's not going to be a Des Bryant type of thing. Someone's going to give him money to get.
I think it could, because I think it's a cross thing, because I think maybe there'll be people that want him, but maybe there's a price where he won't settle for.
And that's why I bring up the Kaepernick thing. Exactly. Like when Kaepernick was offered money, but after all this went down, his very first year of being a free agent, he was offered money. He just wanted starter money, so he never signed. And then all of a sudden, it was all turned into what it is. But Cam could be that same situation. But
would he ever go somewhere to compete, though? And in LA, he'd pretty much, if he went there, he'd go there at least thinking he has the job. Would he go anywhere weird like Denver? Like, I know they love Drew Lock, and they are way too confident in him. I love Drew Lock. Everyone loves Drew Lock. But they have a really good team. They could use a guy like Cam as someone to come in there, maybe drive Lock, or maybe even get the job over him. I'm only using these as an example off the top of my head, because those are the only spots really available to him, because I don't think that the Patriots are going to go that direction, right?
But isn't it like for the Broncos, if we're looking at that one, that would be interesting. They have Courtland Sutton, they have Fant, they have Lindsey, now they have freaking Melvin Gordon. That would be a good fit. But isn't it a little bit if we're just removing the fantasy and the fit and looking at what Elway has done, isn't it a little bit admitting your failure once again at the quarterback position for Elway? You have Paxton Lynch, you have Brock Osweiler, you brought in Flacco. You had Simeon for a little bit. It's all these names, and it never seems to work out. And like, oh, but this time it will. We're bringing in Cam. But you just drafted Drew Lock that you were super hype on. Yeah. But now we have Cam. You see what I mean? Like, isn't it a little bit? Eventually, he has to be right on a quarterback not named Peyton Manning.
I don't think Denver is the perfect, like, I understand that was top of your head, Matt, and that's
no, I was just thinking of a place where he could theoretically could go to a team that's ready to win, whose quarterback may not be ready to win. There's not many like that. The only spot that makes sense to me is the Chargers, because the system's probably not going to change too much between what Taylor and Cam are going to do, right? Then they can have him compete. If Cam's healthy, he goes. If not, Taylor goes in, and they don't have to change the system or anything. But is there anything else? I mean, all the other people that have people competing, like Chicago, they already have that taken care of. Obviously, Washington, they have no interest in bringing Cam. He already said that. He's happy with Haskins and Allen. Minshew, they're not going to be, they traded away Foles because they want to give it to Minshew. They're not going to bring in Cam there. And that leaves the Patriots, which they're not going to go that direction. So, I mean, and the Raiders already picked up Mariota.
Miami?
Maybe, right? I mean, I don't know.
Exactly right, though. What about Miami? What if Miami goes and gets Cam Newton? Goes and says, we've made a lot of free agent acquisitions. Mm-hmm. We've bolstered this team. We have a shit ton of draft capital. We do not need to trade away any of that draft capital to Detroit, to Washington, to the Giants. Let them get Tua. Let's take Cam, and let's just ride this wave out. Like, who knows what anyone's thinking about Cam? It seems like, and
they probably can afford to give him more than anyone else, or willing to give him more than anyone else, right?
Wait, say it again.
They're probably in their position. Miami's probably willing to give him more money than anyone else, right?
Exactly. So why don't they go and make that? That also draws in fans. It draws in jersey sales. It draws in a ton of the business side that we don't, as fantasy football podcasters, think about, because all we want is, the best fit for this and this and this. But you got to think of the NFL as a business. They're going to bring in a shit ton of merchandise sales due to bringing in Cam Newton. And no one outside of Miami could use that more, outside of maybe Jacksonville. Like, they need merchandise sales. They need a quarterback, an ex-MVP, a Super Bowl runner-up. And that's another reason why I don't think Denver would make a run for him.
Who would you rather have? Who would you rather have? Cam Newton, like the number 5 pick in the draft, and the number 24 pick, or Joe Burrow? Yeah,
but then you're not getting Joe Burrow for those 2 picks. You have to give up more.
No, I'm just saying. I was just talking again off the top of my head. If they're for the Bengals, maybe you sign Cam Newton and maybe have trade your pick to Miami.
No. I would go with Burrow. For them, it's different. Them, it's different. For Miami, it would be a different situation with all the spending spree they're going on now, and they could sell that. We've talked a lot about selling, and I'll get on that in a second. But we have a question from TJ Sumter, who asked about Cam potentially backing up Minshew or Roethlisberger. He would never sign as a backup, in my opinion. He would never do that.
So would he just not play in the NFL?
I think so. Yeah.
I think Pitts, if he was going to go anywhere as a backup, there's very few places. I mentioned Denver only because it was intriguing to me. Pittsburgh actually is the other place where I could see it, because Ben, there's no guarantee he's the same. He didn't look fantastic when he started last year, and there's a ton of weapons there. He could be one of those things where he goes, almost like where Bridgewater came back to New Orleans, even though he could have left because he was hoping to, supplant
like Tannehill.
So I could see him going to Pittsburgh with there being an understanding that, Ben's not going to be around forever. Maybe this is last year. If he has no other fit, if he's willing to do that, I would say if he were,
it would be a nice fit for him too. Right? It would be a really nice fit.
But I wouldn't bet on him being a backup though too. But what if he were? That seems like a spot, right?
What if he went to New Orleans as a backup?
Well, didn't they put a first round tender on what's his name there? Taysom Hill. Then they put a first round tender on him.
Then you have to, look. If you look back and we said that Cam wasn't Cam last year, and if you looked at his face when he got out of the huddle, it just looked like he was in pain. Like, it looked like it was painful for him, not just mentally, but physically, like, this hurts. I don't want to do this. If he's not the starter, is it like, do I want to collect a paycheck? Do I keep want to like do this, or can I just get some more endorsements and just say F this? I'm done. I think he could.
You know what they ought to do is just turn Josh Allen into a Wildcat guy and just bring Cam up to Buffalo.
Yeah,
not serious. Not serious.
Get what is it? Kelvin Benjamin. Reunite them up in Buffalo because
oh my god,
that whole thing was so funny. But Nick mentioned about selling jersey tickets, and I made a prediction weeks ago that it was a team that was going to bring in a certain running back who used to play.
Hold on, real quick before we move on. What do we say? The betting
killing me here, killing me.
No, just because before we move on from Cam, what are we saying? The betting favorites we think should be the Chargers and probably Miami, right? Because we think of him being a backup is just not going to happen. So that leaves Chargers and Miami, and that's kind of it, right?
I'm not counting out Chicago. I know they just traded for Foles, but I'm not counting them out. I
would officially count them out because of that.
Nope.
I mean, they can cut him. I mean, we looked it up. They can cut him next year for 0 cap hit, I think. So it's only a 1-year deal in reality, but they have 2 guys.
Neither of them is successful.
What do we put the percentage chance of him going to New England, by the way, before we move on? Because they obviously have an opening, but we're writing them off like there's no chance.
I don't think. No way. There's a way better chance he goes to New England.
I go with 27.
I think he.
What time and year have we ever been in a situation where the NFL has a surplus of fucking quarterbacks?
Oh, never. This first time.
Cam Newton, Jameis Winston, these boys are still out there that probably would be starters on any team from 2000 to 2019, but come 2020, these are backups right now.
But Jameis is better than Tyrod. Like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, Tyrod.
Give him that job at least.
I don't think he is.
Tyrod is.
I know. Are we talking? We're talking real football, right? Not fantasy football.
Yeah,
I mean, Jameis is a net negative in the NFL.
But we give him so much flack for it. Okay, so I did my scheme fit on Brady this weekend, and I want to bring that up. I made a comment on my Jameis Arians video last year saying that I was expecting an improvement in the red zone, but the interceptions would go up with Arians because Arians quarterbacks tend to be the most highly intercepted quarterbacks in the entire NFL. Behold, Jameis Winston became even more freaking interception prone.
Behold,
I think he's gonna be less interception prone with another. I'm not saying he's gonna go to 10, but he'll probably be around 16, 18, and still imagine like Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler, Hunter Henry. You have weapons there that he can blindly just throw the ball to and hope for the best.
This? I wouldn't say he's not going to be better. I don't think he's going to be much better. I definitely don't think he'd be worth the money to invest in him being a long-term quarterback. I think if I'm the Chargers, I'd rather go with Taylor and draft a rookie than sign Jameis personally, or go with Cam.
Well, here's the big thing. Tyrod Taylor gives you a better chance of making the playoffs.
Yes.
Jameis Winston gives you the better chance of winning the Super Bowl.
I agree with that.
And Tyrod Taylor's going to get you the playoffs. He's going to get you 9-7. Hopefully you can squeak your way.
Not with those kickers. Not with those kickers.
I know obviously it's getting down to the wire and Winston can't be beggars can't be choosers, but what is the minimum he's going to accept here? Years-wise.
Thinking these guys are going to just quit the NFL. They're going to sign backup deals. They're not going to just stop playing. They're not going to sign an XFL deal or something like that. They're going to fucking sign.
It's just bizarre. You said it's a weird time, man. It's bizarre.
Yeah. It's not just like crazy with the coronavirus, but the NFL is just insane as well. Sumter chimes in and said he can go to New England, but I think he would put a short leash on Cam. Leash on Cam.
Honestly, Jameis, they do this in other sports a lot. In the NFL, maybe not too many. Take a 1-year guaranteed prove-it deal, right, with your new eyeballs, which apparently are going to be working now. Go to Miami, go to New England, maybe for a year, and just be like, hey, we're going to go try to win a Super Bowl together for a year. I'm going to reestablish my value. You have a quarterback for a year. Your hands aren't tied. If he's willing to do that, I think that he'll have a mini bidding war all of a sudden. No one will give over a year, but like there'll be a lot of teams like offering him a lot of dollars, I think, for 1 year.
And it worked for Tannehill.
I don't know if he's willing to do that.
Let's ask this real quick. Who the fuck is going to be starting in New England?
Stidham.
What's that guy? Stidham. That he loves.
They're going to go there. And
he's going to be stubborn. He's going to be stubborn and roll with him. He's going to be stubborn and roll with him because he's going to show.
They're going to roll this. They're going to draft Trevor Lawrence, and they're going to be right back in the driver's seat of that division after Josh Allen drives Buffalo into the ground.
Stafford. That's what they're going to do. They're going to trade for Stafford somehow, and we're going to get Tua. That's what's happening.
Called it. And now, can I do what I called weeks ago?
Yes.
Thank you, Matt. I called because we were talking about putting butts in the seats, and I said there's one player that could put butts in the seats in this town of Atlanta, and it's a former dog, Todd Gurley. I said it weeks ago that it just made too much sense for them to not pay Austin Hooper and spend that money on Todd Gurley just because people love a former Georgia player in Atlanta. It doesn't matter if he's done or not. So I'm super excited for Gurley. Like, I'm not a Georgia fan even, but I don't watch too much college, but it just felt right. And now he's here. And what is the fantasy value of this? He's right now going in I had this earlier, 3rd round. I think that's a little high. Well, when I say a little, I want him in the 6th if I want him. So a lot high. Matt, where would you draft Todd Gurley for the Falcons?
10th, 11th, 12th round.
Whoa.
Not drafting him. 20 less targets than Devontae Freeman, 30 less catches. Todd Gurley's done.
I disagree. I think it was the way that Sean McVay wanted to run that team. I would gladly draft him in probably, like, if he's going to fall down to the 6th, 7th round for me, I'll gladly take him. I'll gladly take some shares on him in a redraft. Dynasty, obviously, I'm not going to touch him in any way, shape, or form. But in redraft, it's basically the same way you brought up the Austin Hooper, right? Austin Hooper is a tight end, schemed tight end. Doesn't matter who fits in that role. It can be Hayden Hurst, who they went and got. It could be anyone. Whatever tight end is going to sit in that Atlanta offense is going to succeed because of the way that offense is ran. It's very similar to a pass-catching running back. And they wanted Ito Smith to be that guy. They waited 2 years for Ito Smith to be that guy. They drafted him. They wanted it. Then all of a sudden, last year, we started hearing some quabbles about what's his name? What's his name? Dude starts with Olesen or whatever it is.
Olesen. Yeah.
Thank you, whatever. Anyways, he didn't succeed. They still wanted Ito Smith. Ito Smith was fantasy relevant. And for the few games that he was the main guy, he wasn't fantasy great, but he was fantasy relevant. You put Todd Gurley in this offense on a prove-it deal, on a where your pride is going to affect the way you play in Atlanta with a team that is based for Todd Gurley's type of skills where they don't need to overrun him and they can use him as a pass rushing running back. I'll gladly take him in the 6th round and watch him score yet again multiple touchdowns for the 5th year in a row, only in a new team.
Here's the thing. He will never last till then. I said 10th, 11th, 12th. That was my way of saying I will never draft him. He won't last there. Devontae Freeman was being drafted, the 3-4 turn last season?
Insane.
And again, Freeman dominated him in less games. And he sucks. I mean, by the way, Freeman sucked. He was garbage.
Would you rather have? Okay, let's look at round 5. You wouldn't draft him.
I don't think he'll last around 5 either, though. Too. I think by the time season rolls around, people will talk themselves into what Nick said, but more enthusiastically. I just don't think he'll even last there. That's the problem.
So let's look at the 4th round, and because you're saying not 5th, 4th round. Would he last there? 3rd?
Yeah, I'd say tail end of the 4th.
So would you rather have Le'Veon Bell, Miles Sanders, Kerryon Johnson, David Montgomery, James Conner, Devin Singletary, all of them? I'm not going David Montgomery.
I'm not going David Montgomery as well. But
I'm not going Gurley either. I don't want either.
But if you have to, if
I had to pick one, I'm going with Montgomery.
Are you going James Conner over Gurley?
Yes.
I'm not.
This is
too
a whole
excited
tier of
about
people
Connor.
I'm avoiding, but yeah, I'd go Connor over Gurley.
Connor over Gurley.
Don't want him either.
But definitely, like in the 5th, it's Austin Eckler and Mark Ingram, and I'm like, yeah, give me those two over.
I said in the
Gurley.
pre-show, Eckler should be going in the 2nd round. So
Yeah, Eckler is interesting, and let's switch over to him a little bit. Let's actually move over to the topic of the day because we're already kind of touching on that. So I want to move over to today's topic instead.
I guarantee you he's 2nd round by the time draft day comes around, I think.
Guaranteed. And TJ Sumter totally agrees with you, Matt, that you guarantee Austin Eckler will be great. I'm not sure if that's what he meant or if he means that Todd Gurley sucks.
Agreeing with something.
I think it's Eckler. This guy was like the RB2 for when Gordon was out, and now he's got no one even touching him. What is this? What are we doing?
Fantastic. And I can't believe people are treating him like he's some sort of gadget running back.
Especially with Taylor in there. For God's sakes, this guy's going to be a 1st-round value. 1st round.
The only devil's advocate I'll say, and I'm not saying I disagree with y'all because I don't. I love the Eckler, and I love the value if he's going to stay in the 5th round. But let's just talk about devil's advocate. Phillip Rivers
sucks.
Old as he is, he had no problem throwing that ball deep. He finished 3rd in passing yards. Yeah. He whipped the ball deep. That by itself helps Austin Eckler out immensely. If you're then going to bring in Tyrod Taylor, who is known for being the Teddy Bridgewater of the NFL, of not throwing a ball farther than 8 yards, then we're not going to see Austin Eckler's receptions have a 64-yard return in it. We're not going to see that. It's going to be a lot harder for him to get. I think there's a lot.
I think his volume will go up though. I think it'll be different, but I think
it though? Is his volume going to go up? I don't know. I disagree. I think Justin Jackson's volume will go up. But I think
it doesn't have to go up. It can stay the same, and I'm completely fine with drafting him in the 3rd.
A way worse quarterback than Phillip Rivers. He also doesn't open up the safeties or the linebackers as much as Phillip Rivers did because he had a loose cannon firearm. Because of that, we're not going to see the same outcome of Austin Eckler. That's just how. That's what you got to look behind the lines.
That's why Winston is going there, and he's going to push the safety. No, I'm messing with you.
Tyrod Taylor is the quarterback there. And that scares me for Austin Eckler. That does. It does. It gives me more hype for I don't know. It just scares me.
But you have to agree that the 3rd, if he's going into 5th now, which is
that's crazy
insane.
Good. Yes.
If his volume stays the exact same, his production goes down, he's still a 2nd, 3rd round player.
Right.
I would draft him over. So in the 3rd round right now, you have Carson Gurley, and then 2nd you have Jones, Henry, Gordon, Jacobs, roughly. 1st, Fournette and Mixon are in there as well.
I think Henry will be safely in the 2nd round too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are we using fantasy football calculator for this? What are we using? The ADP?
Yeah, I was just using it. It's a little uncertain at this time of year, but I'm using it for now.
I feel like FFC's always been pretty good with their ADPs, but this one just seems a little crazy right now.
Yeah, I'm a little freaked out when I saw it, but because Leonard Fournette over Zeke, what?
I would take Eckler over Fournette.
Oh yeah, every day.
I would also
take him over Mixon.
I also take Henry over Fournette. Mixon, no, I'm on board Mixon this year for sure.
Melvin Gordon.
I'll definitely
over Gordon for sure.
Melvin Gordon kills Phillip Lindsay, in my opinion. I think
Phillip. If you actually look at what Royce Freeman and Phillip Lindsay, the dynamic they had, I think you move Gordon into the main role and you move Lindsay down, who actually wasn't that productive. Not should say productive. He wasn't that. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. He wasn't a very good pass catcher in terms of he got targets about 50-50, but he wasn't actually very effective in that role. So I think Gordon's going to be getting most of that, and he's going to be getting a lot more carries than Lindsay did compared to Freeman. So I think Lindsay goes into Freeman's role just with some more carries because you obviously have to throw Booker's production into that whole area as well. So yeah, I thought Lindsay was one of the steals of the draft. before this, but now I think he'll
Yeah.
I think he'll be overdrafted. So no, thank you.
And I love his running style.
Though, even put in that position where he is going to be maybe the main guy in Denver, I think he's going to be overdrafted because they're still going to. We saw last year that they.
Oh yeah, I don't want Gordon either. No, yeah.
I'm not touching that backfield anymore.
Saying I will take Fournette over whoever the hell we're talking about right
Austin
now.
Eckler.
Austin Eckler.
I'm worried about Fournette, so I'm sticking with Eckler.
What worries you about Fournette?
The offense as a whole.
I don't mind Fournette. I mean, we're all in the same. They're in the vicinity. I'm not booting him way off, but I would rather have. If I'm sitting there, Eckler, Henry, and Fournette are on the board, I'm taking those two over him.
I'm taking Henry and Fournette over Eckler.
Sumter want Mixon and Eckler at the turn. I think that's very reasonable.
I would do that at the turn.
I think you guys are
in a 12-team league.
Tyrod Taylor running the helm of the Chargers. Unless we see Cam or Winston go there, I'm not in I'm not in love with any Charger, whether it be.
What did Rivers average yards per attempt? Like 8 the last couple of years. Taylor is around 7. Is there a big difference?
It's a little better for Rivers.
No, Rivers. The big thing with Rivers is he has a lot more deep attempts. Like as far as like individual plays, he's willing. I guess he gives the defense. He makes the defense. He keeps the defense honest. Maybe I should say
he's actually right on average.
Preaching that? Are you kidding me? This is exactly what I'm saying.
But he's actually right on average with amount of deep throws. The percentage of his throws is straight average in the league. Deep throws. Rivers.
Yeah, no, I'm saying he's not. He's better than Taylor, definitely, but it's not going to be. I don't think it's going to be a big difference. I don't.
If Cam Newton goes there, we're going to see a huge Austin Eckler year. If Jameis Winston goes there, what has Jameis Winston shown us that to prove to us that pass catching running backs are going to be his thing? Like, when have we ever seen that? We never.
But he's never had one that's been this great.
He also just never throws to him. He just doesn't do it. Like, that's what it is.
Who are we talking about now?
Winston.
Winston.
Has he ever had one worth throwing to?
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a big difference.
Austin, you have to involve Austin Eckler in the offense, like any offense. And then you have like Hunter Henry. If you have let's say Cam goes there. Cam had great synergy with Olsen. That the Chargers are looking pretty interesting for fantasy if they don't have Tyrod Taylor. Otherwise, I only want Austin Eckler. I don't want anybody else.
I want Tyrod Taylor.
Let me just real quick bring it back to Phillip Rivers. You're saying he was average deep ball attempts in 2019, 6th in the NFL with 75.
Not attempts.
3rd in the NFL in pass attempt distance with 5,129. 5th in the NFL in completed air yards. The 4th in the league in passing yards. You're trying to tell me that Phillip Rivers doesn't throw those deep balls? That's all he did. He threw picks. He threw the second most interceptable passes outside of Jameis Winston. I'm not trying to say Phillip Rivers is good in any way, shape, or form, but he would push those linebackers. He would push those safeties back. He would make those cornerback stands 5-7 yards after behind the wide receiver, thus creating this huge bubble effect for Austin Eckler. Like us not thinking of that nature and just thinking that, well, it's Austin Eckler, he's going to catch a ball and go run a touchdown is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. You need to understand that the entire offense is going to be changed if Tyrod motherfucking Taylor is going to be the quarterback for the Chargers. Austin Eckler is not going to be.
I think they're better today with Taylor than they are with Rivers.
You're high out of your mind, sir.
I think Rivers sucks.
That might be true. He does a lot more for the team.
For fantasy, he's terrible.
He throws deep, but he doesn't do it well.
No, he does not do it well.
So, I mean, that's why I throw out yards per catch. It's like, yeah, he throws the ball deep, but in terms of actually completing passes, there's not a huge difference.
No, I will give him that. He does complete over 60% of all his deep balls. I will give him that.
And whether he completes them or not, you still have to put safeties back there because he does complete 60% of it. And you have Tyrell Williams or you have Travis Benjamin or any of these fast guys running by. And obviously last year they didn't have that kind of receiver. But in years past, they've had – and if you leave them just one-on-one, they're going to burn you 9 out of 10 times.
But I can agree with your point. I just don't understand why you think it's going to change his value so dramatically where you're off of him. Well, I can see where it slides in behind Fournette, maybe slides in behind a couple people.
With Tyrod Taylor at quarterback over Derrick Henry, over Leonard Fournette, boys that are going to get 350 carries.
All right, well, let's say he's behind those two. Do you have him fall any further?
Yeah, Josh Jacobs I'd rather have.
Okay, I can buy that. Where would you else? I mean, I don't have a total issue with that. I would.
Games, I don't have him in front of me, but there's a couple other guys. Miles Sanders I'd rather have in front of him.
Oh, no.
But Leonard Fournette had had almost the same amount of targets.
Yeah.
Give me like Leonard Fournette had almost the same amount of targets. It was 8 behind Eckler.
Would you rather have Aaron Jones?
Wait. I gotta get on the hate.
Yes, I
Carl
would.
CSD hates Leonard Fournette thing again.
Aaron Jones over. Like he's going to have a touchdown regression, but Aaron Jones is the guy in Green Bay, and Matt LaFleur is going to sit here and be like, "Oh,
he wants to bring in he said he wants to bring in a third running back.
Yeah, he will.
It makes me sad.
Williams. No, spare me, man.
I was worried Melvin Gordon was going to go to Green Bay. I really was. I was worried.
But let me chime in here with Leonard Fournette. Austin Eckler had 108 targets. Fournette had 100. Leonard Fournette had 265 carries. Austin Eckler had 132. 132. And he was so much better. He had more than 130 carries. Well, he had more than 130 carries less than Fournette and only 8 targets more. And Austin Eckler was RB4 and Fournette was 7 in
These are
PPR.
These are a bunch of numbers. You have to look at it. Like Gardner Minshew was the fucking quarterback for the Jaguars.
And that's going to be the same.
Right, but Gardner's now in year 2. That's a rookie 6th-round quarterback leading your team. And no, I'm sorry, but the running back on a rookie late-round quarterback.
100 more carries.
Did Tyrod Taylor
100 more touches?
Did he key your car, Nick? What is the story here? Because you seem to really dislike this guy.
Come on, let's just look at Tyrod Taylor. Like what has been successful when Tyrod Taylor?
He's been fine. He's fine.
Fantasy-wise?
I think no. Fantasy wise, we're talking about.
Like LaShawn McCoy wasn't even successful when Tyrod Taylor was at quarterback. What are we trying to like?
He was though, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
He was pretty good. He was very good.
Was he?
Yeah,
he was pretty good.
Well,
I mean, that was actually like the star of the team. You actually brought up a really great reason to believe in Austin Eckler, actually.
About Shady McCoy while Tyrod Taylor was there. Once you've convinced me on those stats, maybe we'll talk.
Well, he was RB4 1 year.
Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, he was actually a 1st-round pick while Taylor was there.
He was RB4 1 year. What was the other year? 19 was 1. Okay, that's not.
Well, we can all agree that the 5th-round ADP is a joke.
And 7
for Austin Eckler, no matter what, right?
4, 7, and 18 with
Give me.
So, real quick though, before we move off Eckler, you said Miles Sanders, which I don't agree with, but Josh Jacobs I like a lot. In PPR, you like Jacobs over Eckler?
Yeah, I'll still take Jacobs over Eckler. Absolutely.
I know Jalen Richard was literally on a milk carton last year. But I would assume they're going to try to get someone else involved in the pass catching game there to help out Jacobs. It would be great if they just didn't for fantasy. But I would have to think that they're going to be smarter about it this year. I mean, Richard was nowhere. Why didn't they use him?
I think Gruden's too old school, hard headed. Where it's going to be the Josh Jacobs show.
I do like Jacobs, so I don't want bad talk him.
And I do like Austin Eckler. The fact of the matter is, right now, what I'm trying to say is that he's not worth a turn pick, while Tyrod Taylor is the quarterback.
I agree with that. I said that I think he will be. I think he can be worth that, but there's probably no reason to have to go there.
I didn't want this whole debate to go like for me thing that like I'm just off Austin Eckler in any way, shape, or form. Like I
don't go back on it now, Nick. Don't go back.
No, I'm not going back. I also just don't want this like to be misconstrued. Basically.
I already sent out a tweet that you hated Austin Eckler.
That's fine. That's fine because I'll back it up. But the fact of the matter is, I just don't want him on the turn. Like Austin Eckler with Tyrod Taylor is not as successful to me as Leonard Fournette or Josh Jacobs or Miles Sanders. If you get Cam Newton in there, shit changes because we saw what we saw what happens with Cam Newton. He can push the defense back. I just don't think Tyrod can. I think that's what's going to hurt Austin Eckler in the long run. Also, I don't think Tyrod Taylor is going to be a starting quarterback for the Chargers come week 1. We already talked about that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, that could definitely be. I don't know. I'm stealing your thunder here. Someone in the chat said Jacobs receptions 55 plus next year. I don't see that. Last year in 13 games, he had 27 as the only running back on the team. Literally no one else even got involved. So I don't see him over a full season being able to squeeze that out.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, we look at Zeke. Zeke went from 20 to 40 in year 1 to year 2. Is that right?
Well, that is kind of a special case though, because that did come out of nowhere.
No, it didn't too much. If you followed Cowboys news, it was very much anticipated that his.
No, I mean they.
And I think that's how it is in Las Vegas right now. Is it's anticipated that Jacobs is going to get more. I think it's very similar to the Zeke situation.
Yeah, I like Jacobs though. By the way, I'm not bad talking Jacobs. I love Jacobs.
But we have roughly 15 more minutes. So I wanted to hit some more players before we sign off that have got the franchise tag or have re-signed or just switch teams because there's been so much football news going on, which is fantastic. And Funches in bunches. Matt, you want to cry blood or what's the reaction? For fantasy, it's kind of fun though. It's
not fun.
Because it means that more stuff is going to go to Davante Adams.
I don't think it matters. The Packers. I read this whole article today on how they were trying to pump up why they signed Funches, and he was a big body, and how he had over 100 targets a few years ago. And then it was all summed up by he'll be a great wide receiver 4, which means he won't even be playing because the Green Bay Packers are drafting someone else. He is not very good. He drops a ton of passes. I was excited for him though at the beginning of the year with Andrew Luck when I thought maybe that could happen. But yeah, I mean, he'll get drafted by everybody. Not to the extent where Allison and MVS were going last year, but he'll be a late round flyer everyone's taken. But I'm not excited at all. Aaron Rodgers is no longer all elite all the time. He's still pretty good, but then he has those flashes where he needs a little bit of help. And he can't be carrying garbage wide receivers anymore. I mean, they were talking about signing Demarcus Robinson instead. I don't know why the heck they didn't do it. But yeah, he's fine. He's fine, I guess. But I think in general, though, we see how much they're going to filter the ball to Davante Adams. Funches is in no way superior in a dramatic way to anyone else on the team. Lazard is better, I think, in my opinion, right now. MVS was bad, but at worst, they're tied. They're going to continue to give the ball to Adams, and they're just going to really just chuck it to 4 or 5 other people, including the tight ends, which will probably be heavily involved this year, and the running backs they like to throw to a lot. So
will they?
No, I think they will.
The tight end
throws
with the current wide receiver core, I think they very much will try to get those guys more involved. And it's not a matter of them being fantasy relevant. No, not at all. I'm just saying there's only so many targets beside Adams, and it's going to be between 4 or 5 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, and 3 running backs probably.
There's 15 things that I want to say about what we just said. First and foremost, though, I'm going to will Jay Sternberger to be a top 7 tight end this year because I got him in our dynasty league, and it was the last pick. And I didn't have any tight ends. No tight ends. I ended up drafting Greg Olsen, Kyle Rudolph, and then Jay Sternberger. And because of that, I'm going to will Jace to be a top tier tight end, which is true that what you were saying, Matt, they will throw their tight ends more given their current wide receiver situation. And that means Jace is going to be successful. When it comes to Devin Funchess, though, I think last year a lot of people were on my boat where it was that Green Bay wide receiver 2 is a very, very good value when it comes to the redraft and fantasy football. Whomever it may be at wide receiver 2 for the Packers, they're going to be very successful. So I ended up buying a lot of shares of MVS. Unfortunately, that was very unsuccessful. And Aaron Rodgers proved to me that that is not the case anymore. It once was, but it no longer is. I think because of that.
So many drops, by the way. So many drops.
And is that why they like Funchess? Because he's got hands of.
Oh, no. He sucks.
Yeah.
He's the only one out
there. Just adding drops on drops. I'm not taking any Green Bay, though I think what adding Funchess does is it rises Davante Adams' stock. With Hopkins going to Arizona, where are these wide receivers at right now? Julio's old. Mike Thomas is probably wide receiver 1.
Yeah.
Devontae Adams, probably 2, right? Because there is no one to catch the ball outside of Devin fucking Funchess, MVS, Geronimo Allison, Jay Sternberger, Aaron Jones. These guys are incapable of catching passes. It's all the Devontae Adams show. I think he's wide receiver 2 now because of the signing of Devin Funchess.
Somebody who should not be that highly ranked, and I'm a Cowboys fan, but Amari Cooper re-signed with the Cowboys. He's now ADPing, if that's a word, in the late second. And that is way too high, in my opinion, for a guy that has so much inconsistency in his play. I love him when he plays for the Cowboys and when he scores touchdowns. But for fantasy, I can't go that high on a guy that goes up and down more than Mike Evans.
When they were on the field together, Gallup was not that far off from him when they were healthy and together, which wasn't that much. They were together a bunch, but healthy and together was only a few games, and Gallup kind of was there with him. Amari was better, but Gallup outshined him a little bit, at least statistically. So, yeah, now that Amari's back in town, I'm all over Gallup. No way for Cooper. It's too risky.
This kid said right here, pass and give me Gallup. Yes, sir. But I will say that Dak, he's got potential to be top 5 quarterback again this year if you're going to give him all these guys.
I read they were giving him $35 million. Did I read that?
Is it done?
No, I read it earlier today. They were, I can't remember, 4 years, $35 million.
I think it's going to be 35. I think so. It's going to end up being that. I mean, that's what you're going to have to pay. Cap space go up. You're going to have to please pay him before they pay Mahomes. Yes, be smart. Be smart. Do that and be happy. But Dak is now, he's going in the 6th. I like Dak. I liked him last year. I drafted him in a lot of leagues, but round 6 is early.
He was quarterback 2, though. He was quarterback 2.
Why take Dak in the 6th when you get Taylor in the 30th?
Ryan Tannehill came in and he was dominant in fantasy in later of the year, and you can get him in like 13, 14. I'm not saying draft Ryan Tannehill, but I'm saying don't like quarterbacks going that early. It's dangerous. I
would wait and then like several rounds later take like Stafford or take a shot on Goff when he falls. You know, there's plenty of people that are worthy to take a shot on.
Matt Ryan is going to fall.
I was talking about Kyler Murray earlier on Twitter today, and basically like he might be a top 3, top 4, top 5 quarterback, but the fact of the matter is you're going to draft him in the 4th round, and at that point I'd rather just wait and draft a Josh Allen, a Dak Prescott, a Matt Stafford, a guy who can be late and still get you a top 5 quarterback status.
Yeah, Kyler's not going ahead of Dak.
The chat said they like Daniel Jones late. So do I. I love it.
Oh no! Oh no!
He has some sneaky weapons on that team. Sneaky weapons.
Agreed.
For fantasy, he'll make mistakes, but if they're all healthy together, look what he did in his rookie year, with pretty much never a full team. I mean, who do they got there? They got Shepard if he's fully healthy. They got Tate. They got Ingram, Darius Slayton, Saquon Barkley. I mean, that's a pretty nice group for how late he's going. I'd rather
go and draft a defensive player instead of an offensive lineman, and that offense is just going to be standstill right now. They're going to be coming back though, so that could help for Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
But you can get Stafford after Jones now. Stafford, even if he's not, if he just starts the league year, I don't need him to be my starting quarterback for the entire year. But if he comes back, he gets hurt week 6. Knock on wood, Nick, for your sake. But Stafford looked fantastic when he was healthy and he had weapons. Just with like Marvin Jones and Kenny Golladay, he didn't need more than that. He was producing fantasy points to the left and right.
Wasn't he like a top 4, top 5 quarterback when he was healthy last year?
The Darrell Bevell system has worked for him immensely, but we'll see what happens this year. Like we now have lost Graham Glasgow, we've lost Rick Wagner. That's 2 key pieces to our offensive line. And we went and added Big V from Philadelphia, who's been a career backup. And I just can't. Last year I was all in on Stafford. I got him in fucking 85 of my 90 leagues. I was all in on Stafford. But this year, to be all honest, it's extremely worrisome. I hope he's great. I really do. But in all honesty, I hope we draft Tua. I hope we trade Stafford in New England. I'll still draft Stafford. I think he'll be great in New England. but we'll take Tua, and let's go with Detroit that way.
Because I'm just thinking you're not going to have to pay anything for him.
Should ship him to the Chargers. I'd love to see Stafford out there.
No, dude, he'd be wasted in San Diego. That'd be ridiculous. That's not
like every quarterback that goes there.
Exactly. Why would he be? Hold on. Why would he be wasted?
Horrible coaching out there.
Yeah, but
kicking.
No, but that's horrible coaching. Get him to fucking New England where we have a good coach. Josh McDaniels to run his offense.
Hold on. Coaching aside, just weapons wise, you would rather, from a fantasy standpoint, if you own Stafford in, say, a dynasty league, you'd rather him be in New England right now than the Chargers, coaching aside, even including coaching?
Yeah, I think that coaching takes a lot more of a factor than people like to put into it in fantasy football. And that's why I always feel like I find myself successful, because people won't look at that offensive coordinating, the who's calling the plays and how that's going to affect a quarterback outside of just he's got good weapons. Good for him, man. Mike Williams, who caught 10 touchdowns 2 years ago. Keenan Allen, who gets injured every year and is very inconsistent when he does. Austin Eckler, who had a good start to his season last year. Like I'd rather him be in New England.
They'd certainly be dangerous with. I mean, if Edelman sticks around and N'Keal Harry maybe coming back, but I don't know. I'd hate it.
Be careful calling out Keenan Allen though, Nick. He'll come after you on Twitter.
Keenan Allen is amazing, by the way.
Carl and Keenan Allen have like a duel. I'm pretty sure, a battle.
That was the one guy when they were talking about maybe trading him. I wanted him in Green Bay more than anything. Put him out there with Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. There you go.
Somebody else that you might have wanted. I got three more players, real quick. Damien Williams, depending on the round, he's now going in the 9th. Heck yes. Yes or no, Nick?
No, not because they're going to draft Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the first round, and he's going to be the running back you want.
Matt?
Yeah, 9th round, sure.
9th round. AJ Green, 12th, 13th round flyer on him. Matt, yes or no?
No. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
That's pretty late. I mean, that's pretty late.
Oh my God. Are you gonna put Joe Burrow in there and you're gonna have AJ Green play a full season? Please, goddamn, give me every 12th round share of AJ Green there is.
I don't think he's gonna last that long.
No, he'll jump up into like if he's healthy, and it's the first video of Burrow just tossing one, even with no defenders, tossing one to Green. He's what? He was 6th round? 7th
he's
round?
6th right now too.
Probably.
Yeah.
Sumter says 30th for Green.
30th round.
Round or 30th?
That's the new one, the 30th. That's just what we throw out now. And lastly, Kareem Hunt. He re-signing with the Browns. Are you kidding me? Why do you gotta do Chubb like that? Why do you gotta do Chubb like that? Another dog that's not gonna produce as much as he should in fantasy. I was so hoping that Kareem Hunt would leave, but now he does hurt Chubb's value, right? Nick, yes or no? Do you still go? Are you still willing to go Chubb in late first?
Yeah, absolutely. Chubb proved to us last year that it doesn't matter with Hunt there or not. He's going to be a successful running back. Give me all the Chubb shares I can get. And depending on where Hunt is going, if he's going to go in the 8th, 9th, 10th round, I'll probably take a couple shares of him as well.
Matt? Late
yes,
first?
Yes on Chubb, no on Hunt.
No on Hunt. I'm going to be with Nick on this one and say yes on both, even though I think it hurts Hunt. I mean, Chubb. I did like Chubb a lot more, but I think he has fantastic running trends that I've been analyzing, and they look really, really nice. Similar to Kenny Galladay's.
I'm worried about what Cleveland's going to do. I'm worried about what the Baker has in his head. I mean, once Case Keenum takes over at quarterback, I'll feel a little better.
Yeah, free Keenan to OBJ for
did I trigger anyone with that?
Yards.
Comment below. All right, continue on.
No, that's a perfect ending to the show, actually. When Case Keenum takes over the Cleveland Browns, that's when they take off.
You're not going to do a quick 10 seconds on why Curtis Samuel apparently pissed someone off in Carolina really badly? No. Terry Bridgewater and Robbie Anderson? Just drop Curtis Samuel.
I'm saying Terry Bridgewater. It's Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, his name is Terry.
Teddy.
Everyone else is wrong. I'm right.
Every single podcast I've ever done with you, man. It's
good old Terry.
I can't handle it anymore.
No, but it's I love me some Teddy and DJ Moore, even with Robbie there. But we said even last week, like, get rid of Curtis Samuel chairs. We said that. So, like, we were already off that train. Get rid of him. We don't want to see him.
Like everyone else. Send him to Green Bay.
We do want to see y'all again next week, though, as we're back at 8:30 Eastern time here live. But catch us on CSTFantasy.com, Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, anywhere. And be sure to wash your hands before and after the show because Matt just gets nasty.
Matt gets nasty.
Signing off.
I'm being responsible here and trying to educate, and I'm being made fun. This is why we're in the mess we're in, because people making fun of hand sanitizing.
Signing off for the Fantasy Rabbit Hole is Nick Faber, Matt Williams, and CST Fantasy. See y'all next time.
Peace.